Hello, and welcome to your workshop on self-worth and confidence. It's such an honor to have you here, and I just want to start by grounding into our bodies first. So, if it feels safe for you, let's just lovingly close our eyes. If not, you can keep your eyes open, that's okay too. And let's just take a deep breath in through the nose, and a big sigh out through the mouth. Deep breath in, and big sigh out. One more breath, deep breath in. Big sigh out. Good. And I just want you to connect with a purpose today as to what you want to leave, how you want to leave, how you want to feel, what you want to take from this workshop. It can be anything that you want. It can be related to the topic. It can be unrelated to the topic, which usually everything is usually interconnected. So just take a moment and connect to that and just trust what comes up for you. And just start to feel that in your heart, planting that as if it was a seed, planting the intention as if it was a seed, and giving it permission to grow. And we're going to nurture and water it throughout the workshop. Let's take a deep breath in. And big sigh out. When you're ready, you can lovingly open your eyes, and we're going to get right into it. So thank you so much for joining me here today. I am beyond excited to have you because my mission here is I just want to be able to make the biggest impact in this world around people feeling good about themselves. There's too many of us who are feeling like we're not worthy enough, feeling like we can't be vulnerable and we can't show, the pain that we've gone through because it makes us weak. I was actually having a conversation with a male who I value, who I look up to, and he was talking about how many males experience, including himself, experience that it's really hard for them to ask for help because it's a sign of weakness, or they think it's a sign of weakness, right? And so one of the things that we were kind of touching on in this conversation is, one, he had that awareness of it. He had the awareness of, okay, I noticed consciously that I'm thinking it's a weakness, or sorry, I should say unconsciously that he thinks it's a weakness, but consciously he knows that it's not, right? And that it's okay and it's safe to ask for help from people who are safe and who want to help you and who see you, who see you for your heart and see you for your soul. And so many times people are so worried to ask for help when there's people who want to help them. There's people who want to be there for them because they love them, because they see their dreams, they see them for who they are, right? And so imagine, and okay, this is another thing, like the whole weakness part, asking for help and connecting it to weakness, right? I want to reverse that, because when we have the courage to ask for help, that shows so much strength within us that, hey, this is outside of my scope, or hey, I need some support. And it is an opportunity for vulnerability to be present. And that actually builds on confidence. When you are able to ask for the hard thing, do the hard thing, have the hard conversation, it does build on confidence. Now, I think a lot of people are worried about the result of doing those hard things, the result of having the hard conversation. Because if you have the hard conversation and somebody says no when you're asking them for help, we make it mean something about ourselves, like, oh, I'm not worthy of receiving that help, I shouldn't have asked in the first place. Or maybe you start a business, but there's like resistance to sell your offers, there's resistance to talk about your work, because there is that lagging feeling of, oh my gosh, what if I sell this and nobody comes into it? What if I tell this person how I feel about them and then I get rejected? So it's better to just keep my distance, stay in my own energy, and tough it out alone. And let me tell you, there's a season for that. Okay, there are times where it's great to be in your own energy, it's great to have that independence. And also, too, both can exist at the same time, and it can mean nothing about your weakness, your confidence, your strength. It can just mean that you're a human being and you're open to receiving, right? And I think that is so correlated with confidence is being open to receiving. And I think a lot of us have really closed ourselves off to receiving because it's associated with weakness. I know that's something that I had to work on very deeply because I'm so used to doing things on my own. I live alone. I pay all my bills by myself. I cook, I clean, I do it all, right? And while that can be a badge of honor to say, wow, I'm doing everything on my own, it is something to be celebrated. It is. But there does come a certain point in your life where you have to decide, is carrying all of this on my own actually benefiting me? Or is it an act of self-sabotaging, an act of self-betrayal when really I'm really needing that help? And I want you to think about that. And the reason why I bring up, is this serving me? Is this serving my self-respect? Is it an act of self-betrayal? Is because that's the one question that I get all of my clients to ask themselves in any situation when they're trying to work on their self-confidence. That is the question I want them to ask. Is this an act of self-respect? Am I feeding into my self-respect? Not your ego, but your self-respect. Or is it a subtle act of self-sabotage? Is it a subtle act of self-neglect? Is it a subtle act of self-betrayal? And look, you're not expected to be perfect at this, okay? There's going to be times where you do self-betrayal and you do self-sabotage. But it's around being aware and conscious of those patterns and taking the initiative to intentionally interrupt those patterns, because that's what it is. It is a pattern on repeat. It is a programming in your body, in your mind. And these things can be transformed. You are not married to these subconscious programming. And I think that a lot of people who are working on their self-confidence think that, well, I was just born this way and it's too late for me to change, or I'm too broken and I can't do this. This isn't, the self-confidence isn't for me. But I can watch people and see how they have it so easy. And let me tell you, a lot of people who are confident, that has come from immense hardship. And so if you're watching this, I'm almost positive, because all of us have gone through it in our own way, that you've gone through extreme hardship and that you don't want to continue to go through hardship the same way that you've been going through it your whole life. And so if that is a decision that you are making today, that you do not want to continue navigating hardship in the same way that you are used to, because you are seeing that the same result is happening over again, like you're ending up in the same relationship with a different person, you are stuck at an income that you're not happy with, you're in an unhappy role in your job, or maybe you're just really fucking tired of people disrespecting you. So if you are deciding that you want to change things, I want you to decide right now in this moment and make that commitment to yourself that as you're going through this workshop and even after, that you are going to stay committed to your self-respect. Because this is what we're going to be structuring the workshop around, is really instilling the programming of self-respect. And when I say self-respect, I want you to know that you can have self-respect and still lead from that beautiful big heart of yours. Because if you're watching this, I know that you're also a sensitive being like myself, right? I'm going to share some personal stories too, because I think that, and I try to be very transparent with this on my social media, but I think when we see somebody who is confident and so embodied in their work, that we forget that they have a past that they've had to work through. They've had a lot of really challenging things that they have had to move through to get to where they are. And those experiences have really built on their character, on their grit, on their consistency, on their discipline. And so you are watching, like when you are on social media, and I always bring social media into everything that I talk about because I think it's the one thing, it's a beautiful thing to have these days because we can run our businesses on it. We can see what people are doing that we love from all the way across the world. And it's great. I love it for that reason. And I think people are only seeing someone's highlights, people are only seeing people's end results. And so my goal anytime I'm posting is I'm gonna be authentic and real. So if shit's happening or shit has happened, I'm gonna talk about it because I never want you. This is another thing. Someone who is confident and has self-worth can talk about their past experiences, regardless if it was feeling shameful for them in that moment, regardless if it's really scary and vulnerable, right? That is what a confident person does. And like I said, we're going to structure this around self-respect, but another piece of this is vulnerability. Your willingness to be vulnerable shows how confident you are. Just like I was talking about with the male that I was having the conversation with around, a lot of men not being able to ask for help, feeling like they have to carry this on their own. Now, I'm not saying men are not confident, but there is so much room for growth with males where they can welcome in people who are safe people, who want to help them, who want to love them, who want to show up for them. And confidence works both ways, especially when you're in a relationship or if you're in, a business to client type of dynamic. You can help each other build on confidence by making the middle ground vulnerability, honesty, trust, right? And so I want you to keep this in mind throughout the workshop. Keep that in mind, and I want you to make that commitment like we talked about. And you're going to have some takeaways to take with you as well, but I want you to fully this time for real, because how many times have you promised yourself that, okay, yeah, I'm going to do that thing? And that's another and then you don't do it. And that's another thing that builds on confidence is that you got to start keeping those damn promises to yourself, girl. As much as we hear that, are you doing that? And a lot of the times it comes back to the simple tasks, the simple rituals, the simple things. And just because something is simple, it doesn't always mean that it's going to be easy. Because unlearning, deconditioning yourself, and then reconditioning yourself to what it is that you want to see in your life, what you want to be, who you want to embody, the identity that you're striving to be, all of that depends on the promises and commitment that you make to yourself and how quickly you take action on it. And sometimes there's things that we have to take time and think about. Okay, I'm not telling you to rush any action, but movement needs to be consistent if you want to build on your confidence, if you want to build on your self-worth. Because what can happen is, like, we can stay in the lagging period of over analyzing things, over conceptualizing things. And what happens? It leaves us more confused. And when somebody is confused, let me tell you, their intuition is blocked. And when your intuition is blocked, you're not going to feel like you trust yourself as much. You're not. So remember that you can make good choices And you can make choices that just need to move the needle forward in your growth journey, in your business, in your love life. Okay? But you have to keep moving, and you have to trust yourself that regardless of the result of the decision, that you are gonna be able to handle it. You're gonna figure it out at the end of the day. Even if it takes some time, even if it takes longer than what you anticipated. And this is another thing that I see as a common theme is like the patience piece with yourself when it comes to building on your self-confidence. For me, and this is still like a work in progress, by the way, nobody's ever 100% confident. Fuck what you see online. Truly, like, fuck what you see online. And, like, I want you to remember that, again, it takes time. It takes motherfucking time. And you can collapse those timelines. You can collapse the timelines. And the way that you do that is through your self-commitment. So I'm going to give you an example. I love to use gym examples because I think it just correlates so well into self-worth and self-confidence because it's so connected. I'm a gym girly. I hit up the gym 5 to 6 times a week and I absolutely love it. It is my outlet. I love taking my time there because I like to focus on like mind muscle memory. I like to take breaks in between my sets too so that my muscles can reset and I can actually do every set properly instead of rushing through it, right? And I've had to slow down in the gym because before I used to just like hit my workouts just in and out. And I didn't have the chance to enjoy my workout. It was just something that I had to like check off of my list. And I think, so what I want to bring back to this is like, with this example is, are you actually taking the time to enjoy your journey of building on your confidence and self-worth? Like truly taking the time to reflect and think about, wow, what is it that I have created for myself up until this point within my own inner world? And what I highly recommend is practicing your journaling because you know what? I have journals from when I first started my healing journey. And I look back and I read them now and I'm like, wow. One, I had so much wisdom back then and I didn't even know it because I felt like a newbie. Two, I look back and I'm like, wow, this shit used to bother me and now I have just advanced so much. I have learned not just different tools, but just built a completely different energetic body for myself in the sense of like I know how to manage my energy now. I know when I'm having a leaky boundary. I know um when I'm having trouble with something internally and it's projecting out into my own reality. And so before I wasn't really as aware of that when it came to energy. I could feel energy. I definitely knew that I was a sensitive person, but I didn't know how to use and work it, right? Like I didn't have rituals for releasing, or I thought I was doing a releasing ritual and I really wasn't. So it's so beautiful to see yourself advance in things that you thought, oh, I couldn't do this, or oh, I never thought that I would be able to do this, and now I can. And why? It's because you showed up. It's because you continued to learn. It's because you took that action. Movement. And I mean movement in all aspects. Movement is the answer to your confidence and your self-worth. Because when you can keep going and persevering and pausing, because we need rest, we need recovery as well too. Like we can't just keep continuing to heal, because that can become like a downward spiral in itself, feeling you to not feel as worthy. And that's a big point I want to touch on is like some people like, and I have 100% been in this position before where people, I'm gonna stop saying people, but I'm just gonna use myself. Where I was so into healing, I just made it a huge part of my identity to the point where I was looking for the next issue that was wrong with me, the next issue, the next issue. And I continue to, oh, I gotta heal this, I gotta heal this, I gotta heal this. I can only get this until I heal this. I can only get the love that I want until I heal this wound. And then I started to get really fucking exhausted and tired, and I was like, I don't think this is working. In the sense of like, working in a sense of like, okay, I'm now I'm now not feeling good about this because it was a constant inner critic. So we have to find that middle ground of, okay, yeah, I'm doing the healing, and yeah, I'm also worthy and worthy of love, worthy of having the business, worthy of being treated with respect right now in this moment. Like even when you're going through it, I've had so many great friends when I was really going through, when I was a lot, okay? And they just would keep reflecting back to me how, just like everything that they saw in me around like my heart and what I brought to the world. And I'm so grateful that they were able to reflect all these things back to me about my worth, because if it wasn't for that, I think I would have gone deeper into the spiral of endless healing and feeling like, oh, I'm just not ready. I'm not ready to have the business, or I'm not ready to have the relationship. And so one thing that I think is going to help ease you, because I know we hear on the line, is like, we don't need that external validation. And while it's great to validate yourself, and I think we do need that, I think that needs to be the driving force within us. But there are stages in our lives, especially the early stages of healing, where you do need those reminders of people who believe in you. You do need support. Like, think about it. I'm going to use the gym as an example again. A lot of people are more motivated when they actually go to the gym because of the atmosphere. I know the gym that I go to, we're all a community there. Okay? We talk to each other, we encourage each other, and well, we're all there for the same reason, right? So with your support systems, it's the same thing. You need to have really good support systems, especially when you're first building on your confidence and self-worth, because having people reflect certain things back to you is going to be so helpful. And we need people to reflect things back to us, okay? Like that's where we get our own inner voice, like the positive inner voice that we have or that we want to have. It's okay to get that from other people sometimes too. Like we don't have to shame ourselves for wanting that validation or that reassurance, just as long as it's not like the primal voice that's driving you, because then you become more dependent on the other person and dependent on the validation and the reflections back to you from people who love you and see you for who you are. It should truly just be like an additional to like, okay, yes, okay, great, like this is reflected back to me, I'm not fucking crazy, great, I think I'm great and they do too, so I must be great. you know I remember my best friend, I don't know if we must have been getting ready for a party or something, and I think she was in high school at this time and I was still in elementary school. I don't know, but so we were getting ready, and she was telling me that one of her friends was asking about like, oh, like, is your cousin pretty? We call each other cousins because we've just grown up with each other forever. And they're like, oh, is your cousin pretty? And she was like, yeah, like she is pretty. And when she told me that, that was the first time ever that I was like, oh shit, I didn't know I was pretty. I didn't know, honestly. And I will always, it's so interesting that these moments with people that we love can just stick in our brain and stick in our memory on such a like subconscious level and really shape the way that we view ourselves. And that can be, again, like these can be positive experiences, like the one that I shared with you about, my best friend reassuring me that I'm pretty. Or it can be the opposite, where it can be like a very negative experience where people are telling you something about yourself that is true or not. We don't know, depending on the situation, right? And it can stick with you and it can dampen that confidence. It can chip at it. And then you can go through the rest of your life thinking, oh shit, like this is who I am. And you start to associate that with a part of your identity, right? And so this is what I mean. Like the people that you're surrounding yourself with while you're trying to build your confidence is going to be fucking key to you growing. Because, and listen, I feel like I need to bring this up because, and I'm not trying to be negative when I talk about this, but this is just something that's just really happened for me. And it's probably happen for you as well too. There's gonna be people as well too that show up and are gonna say all the right things, and you might feel that energetic incongruency, the energetic incongruency around, okay, this person's being really nice and they're saying really nice things to me, but there's almost like a resistance, or there's like a knowing that it might not feel genuine, or there might be underlying, jealousy can come up. A lot of, we'll just leave it at jealousy, okay? Now, this doesn't mean that the other person's bad, okay? Like they're experiencing their life through their own experiences, and jealousy does come up in a lot of relationship dynamics, okay? And where you're going to advance and excel in grounding into your confidence and your self-worth is truly by being very mindful of who you're surrounding yourself with. Okay. I say this so serious face because I used to surround myself with a lot of people, okay, earlier on in my journey. And I want to say like they're not bad people, okay? But just because somebody has gone through an experience and they've had a negative experience and they start to project that onto you, like their experience and your experiences are different, and I don't think that we should be projecting those things onto other people. Like I see this a lot with people who are divorced. I used to do couples therapy, and I would see them bonding with somebody who also went through a divorce. And hey, like we all need support and people who understand it, okay? But the difference was there were different reasons for why they got divorced. They had different partners. Like one person, their partner was like actually a healthy partner, and they just had like a lot of differences. And another person, their partner was unfaithful, right? And so you can imagine that probably during the divorce, they had different conversations when they were separating. But so the person who had the husband who was unfaithful was like constantly putting these like negative beliefs and projections into the other person who's getting divorced, run, oh, like he probably has another person, and he's doing this and he's doing that just because that happened to her. And the reason I'm bringing this up is because like, yo, when you have conscious friends, like they're not doing that. Or if they do, like they're like, shit, okay, I didn't mean to project that onto you, or it's brought up in a conversation and it's spoken about. But people are literally interacting with you and working, or not working with you, interacting with you and building bonds with you through their own lived experiences, especially if they're unaware of what they're doing and it's unresolved. you want to surround yourself with people who are aware of their flaws, aware of their areas of growth, and also are grounded within themselves. Like that's one of the biggest hacks as well too. If you want to get confident and you want to build your self-worth, surround yourself with people who respect themselves. Okay. Another big thing, going into respect. Okay. This is a big thing for me. And it wasn't before, but until I became an entrepreneur, because now I just have like, don't have a lot of time. And when I do, I'm like very, like I said, I'm conscious about where it goes, right? So I had a lot of friends before who would just show up late, um, not not communicated either, by the way. Like they'd show up and I would just be like waiting there. I'd be like, oh, it's okay, people pleaser Sam. Oh, it's okay. And excuse me, once I started to gain more self-respect for myself, like I was like, what the fuck? Like, why the fuck am I on their schedule? Why am I waiting? Sometimes it'd be like hours. Why am I waiting? I bring time into this is because your time is so valuable. And if you're somebody who's confident and has self-worth, you're going to know that your time is valuable. So you're going to be mindful of how you spend it. You're going to be mindful of what you tolerate in your time. I had, this was a few years ago, and she's one of my close friends, honestly. Like, she's been like a mom to me. And we had plans to go to dinner, and I had messaged her, like, we were meeting up at a place, and I had messaged her, hey, I'm leaving the house. Hey, I'm here. Because I know sometimes she can be late. And so it was like giving her timestamp updates so that she could arrive on time. And I was waiting at this place and I was like, okay, I'll give people like a half an hour or 20-minute leeway, especially if they're communicating with me and like something's happened and there's an emergency or they're running late and they're communicating with me, like that's different, okay? But this person didn't show, like at like the 25-minute mark. I was like, I'm out, going back home. And so I went back home. And then she had messaged me after and she was like, I'm here now. This was like 35 or 45 minutes after the meetup time. And I said, oh, well, I had tried to reach out to you many times telling you I was there. I waited. You didn't show up. I have stuff to do. I took time off of work to come spend time with you. And my time wasn't respected. So I'm gonna go back home now. I'm already on my way home. And she's like, well, can you come back? Like, I'll pay for dinner. It's on me. And I said, no, it's not about the money. It's about the respect. It's about communication, right? And that incident changed our entire relationship. We didn't talk for a very long time. And then we saw each other again and things changed. Why did things change? Because I didn't allow her to disrespect me. And I didn't allow her to take advantage of my time. And I stood firm in my boundaries. I could have waited for her. I could have. But this is where the question of, is this an act of self-respect or an act of self-betrayal comes in. So when I asked myself that, I said, okay, what would a person with self-respect do? They would take their ass home. And that's what I did. And yeah, I think a lot of people struggle with building on their self-worth and self-confidence because they're worried about how they're going to be perceived by other people. They're worried about hurting other people's feelings. Okay. And it's a normal human tendency to have, is to think about other people. Okay. I'm not going to tell you to stop doing that, but I am going to tell you that there are ways to navigate that. And whatever way you choose to navigate it, whether you choose to let people take advantage of you or you choose to let people see that you respect yourself and that you hold your ground. And that's going to decide the quality of your relationships. Now, there's going to be people when you set boundaries and they ignore them, they don't respect them. That is going to happen. And so you have choices here as well too. You get to decide, okay, am I going to continue in this dynamic? Or am I going to take my power back and take myself out of the dynamic? I've had to do that on multiple occasions. And you know what? I'm just going to preface this because a lot of people are going to think, oh my gosh, she's so sensitive. Oh my gosh, she's problematic. You know what? I would rather be that than be the people pleaser or pushover anymore. So I want you to ask yourself, how do you want people to treat you? And then are you applying that to yourself? Another thing I want you to ask yourself is the things that other people are doing to you, would you do that to them? A lot of the times when someone betrays us or hurts us and it takes a chip at our confidence, and a lot of the times those behaviors have nothing to do with us, the way that they're treating us, okay? We really do treat people the way that we value ourselves. And so asking, like, and I know I've given you guys so many questions to ask yourself, but these questions are so necessary because they are pattern interrupts. Your mind is constantly just like running in the background on the same ass program. And if you want to change the programming in your mind, and it's not just about the mindset work too, like it is truly about working with your body and understanding your body's signals. Okay? And it's about choosing differently as well. Because every time you choose differently, you are making an intentional choice of, look, I see things better for myself. I want to feel better about myself. I want to have better relationships. I want to speak better to myself. So every time you choose that different pathway, you are breaking patterns, you are recreating new neural pathways, and it takes repetition, it takes consistency, it takes patience. There's no shortcut to confidence and self-worth. The only way through is through actually taking action. It is through movement. Okay, when I say movement, like I mean this there's dual meaning to this. Like actual physical movement, like I told you, like I'm a gym girly, and let me tell you, there's studies that are shown that help, like the gym increases your confidence and self-worth, especially when you eat properly and you start to see results in your body. Yo, I'm telling you, it's been a fucking game changer for me. Movement in that way, movement in decision making around, okay, the quick question, self-respect or self-betrayal, which one is it? I'm going to go this way to self-respect. And then you go. And you don't fucking look back. Even if it feels like shit doing it. Because sometimes the choice of self-respect feels like shit. So, movement, okay? And your integration, like actually applying these things into your life and creating experiences where you get to practice this. You like someone? Fucking tell them. Express it to them. yes, you might get rejected. Give yourself more opportunity to be rejected. Not because you want to harm yourself, not because you want to make yourself feel like shit, but there is something so beautiful to say about somebody who's able to speak what's on their heart. And you can do this from a perspective without being needy, by the way. You can be honest about how you feel and you be grounded in it. I'm going to give you an example. We're going to use the love example of telling someone that you like them, okay? You're going to say, hey, you know what? I feel like I've developed a lot of feelings for you. And I'm not exactly sure where you stand, but I know where I stand. And it's important for me to stay true to my heart. It's important for me to stay true to my self-expression. And I'm putting this out there. Don't use just. I am putting this out there. I'm putting this out there. And I would love to know how you feel. And just pause. There's so much to say about pauses when you're having conversation, because you can tell so much about a person in the space of a pause, how they react, how their body language changes. So just pause. And they're either going to say, wow, thank you so much for telling me. I feel the same way. Or, wow, I didn't know that you felt that way. And I appreciate your feelings. I respect your feelings. But I don't feel the same way. And if it is the last option, if it is the last response, where they're saying that they don't feel the same way, oftentimes we can make it about ourselves around, okay, well, I don't feel worth it, or why am I not good enough to be liked by this person? When a lot of the times it's not you. It's other circumstances. It's the way that they feel about themselves. How open are they to love? Because I know if you're watching this video, you're the whole damn package. You're pretty, you're smart, you're emotionally intelligent. You got all the things. Okay? So we get to decide how we respond to rejection. And I think, and that doesn't mean that you don't, like, look, it's normal to feel like shit after rejection. I'm not saying don't feel like shit after rejection. Let yourself feel it, but I want you to notice what comes up for you when the rejection happens. Okay? Let yourself be sad. Maybe you're angry. Maybe you're confused. And just let yourself sit with the feelings, and then take a moment to move towards those feelings around, okay, so the me part about not feeling worthy enough, is that actually true? I think logically you know it's not true, right? So if we can logically know that it's not true, and we can go further underneath that, okay, well, why do I feel like it's true even though I know it's not true? Most of the times it is a childhood experience. Most of the times it's related to a parental-child dynamic or bullying that happened when you were really young. Okay? And that is where we're going to link it back to. Now, these experiences that happened to you when you were young, and them connected to the current position that you're in today in regards to the rejection. While your feelings and the initial experience is valid, it's not always applicable in your future experiences. So, like I said, there's other circumstances that can be at play, whether they be external circumstances or internal circumstances for the other person. Maybe you're being divinely protected from somebody who is a fucking loser. Sometimes we can like losers, you know what I mean? I get it. I've been there. Oh. Um, so I just want you to bring awareness to rejection, because when we can learn how to work through rejection and 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 be okay with it, because you know what? Yes, you can have everything you want in life, and a lot of the times everything that we want comes with a lot of no's before we get what we want. And that's the prep work for it. That's the prep work for all your dreams, all your desires, whether that's in business, whether that's in love. And every time you get the opportunity to work with rejection from a place of love for yourself, in a place of reflection, because maybe, I know sometimes like I've been rejected for really good reasons. I didn't show up in like my highest self in a past relationship or a past potential partner, and I was rejected. And I had to pause and say, okay, it doesn't mean that I'm not worth it, but maybe there's something I ought to look at. And so I'm going to look at it. And so I looked at it and I healed that part of it. And now, moving forward, going into different relationships, going into different parts of my business, let me tell you that things are so different. And it is because I I let rejection be redemption for me. I didn't let it define me. And again, it doesn't mean that these things don't come up sometimes. Like, look, this journey is not, it's not linear at all. Okay, you're gonna have waves. But through those waves, as you learn how to work through these opportunities that are being presented to you and navigate them through in a different way, because you've evolved in your spiritual journey, in your love journey, in your business journey, you're going to start to see that you move a lot differently. So I'm going to leave you with that. I'm so curious to, I want to know how you feel after this workshop. I want to know what's come up for you around your confidence and self-worth. And I want to know what's on your heart and how this resonated with you. So let me know, send me a DM on Instagram and share this to your story. Share this with anybody who you know would really benefit from it. Because I know that I needed to hear this a really long time ago, and I wish I had somebody to tell me in the way that I'm telling you right now. So I love you with all my heart. If you feel called to work with me on a deeper level and just blow your fucking confidence and your self-worth out the fucking roof, so you know that you're the exception, you're the whole ass package, get into my one-on-ones, because that's what we're gonna do. I've done it with myself, I've done it with multiple clients, and you know what? Feels like it's your turn. I love you, and I'll see you wherever I see you.